Planning to make some changes to your property? The state says you need to know before you dig. To help you navigate that process and keep you up to date, we have Panzer with us today. He's the executive director of the North Carolina 811, and he's taking your questions from now until 5:45. So here's how you can get your questions to him. All you have to do is text us. That number is right there on your screen. It's 336-379-5775. Lewis, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, first off, what is 811? When I first saw that we were doing this, I don't think I had even ever heard of it, so I hope a lot of people will be learning something today.
I hope so. So 811 is a 3-digit free call that folks make, just like dialing 911. It's an 811 is the number when you're going to do any digging, and that's the number that lets the utilities know that you're going to do that work, and so that they have an opportunity to come out and mark where those facilities are, so you're safe and so are the facilities.
So you say dig safely. What does that mean, to dig safely?
So we look at this and basically look at this in 5 basic steps. The first one is making that call to 811, and you want to basically do that 3 full business days prior to the time you're going to do the work. So the first step is making the call. The second step is waiting those 3 full business days. And then the third one is to check positive response. The fourth one is respecting those marks on the ground when you see them. And the fifth one is to dig with care and just be aware of those utilities in relation to where the marks are, where you're digging.
You just mentioned positive response. What is that?
So positive response is an electronic feedback that comes from the utilities when they receive the notice from you about the digging that you're going to do. Within that 3 full days, they will respond back to the system and let them know if there's a conflict, if it's free of conflict, if they have any issues with the property, getting on the property, etc. And then you should check that positive response, and you can do it by giving an email address. When you actually make the request, they can send that to you.
Now, does this also go for, I know recently in our neighborhood, we had, I think it was one of the computer companies or somebody like AT&T or Spectrum, they were out there digging in certain areas. So say you see these people pull up and they start digging in your yard, can you call 811 to ask about that?
So if they're working in the easement in the front of the property, they probably have already contacted us for that work to take place. But you can use a free app that we have that's available on your phone, and there's a function in there called Near Ticket, and you can actually see live tickets that are in your area. So if you do see work happening around you, you can use that tool in order to find out who's digging around you.
Okay, that's good to know. I think my husband will appreciate that. So what are the marks that you've been talking about?
Right. So when the utilities receive that notice, they send out a locator, which is using a device to find where the utilities are, and they physically mark on the surface of the ground where those facilities are using paint, flags, or stakes in the horizontal direction that those utilities are running, so that you can see those in relation to your excavation.
So a lot of times with those marks, they have different colors, right? Do those colors matter? Do they mean something different?
Absolutely. So each color is unique to the type of facility that's in the ground. So if you see yellow, that means that there's a gas line underneath where that mark is. If you see red, there's power, some form of electric. Orange is telecommunications, so those AT&T lines you were talking about, any kind of internet, that kind of thing. If there's blue lines, those blue lines represent water underneath, and green would represent sewer.
Okay. So any homeowners that are watching right now, is there anything specific that you think that they need to know?
Well, one of the things we try to encourage people to do is when you're going to put that mailbox in, or the tree or the fence, if it's something you're doing, we ask that you pre-mark that area on your property with white paint or flags. And what that does is that lets the folks that come out to mark know exactly where you're planning to put that, versus just saying somewhere on the property and then they'd have to mark up the entire property. This allows them to get very precise as to where it is. Also understanding that there are
numbers 336-379-5775. We'll be right back.